Hey, welcome back, and thanks for tuning into this week's Productive Agent Podcast. My name is Tony Ruiz. I'm the founder and host of the Productive Agent Podcast and Facebook group. Today, I'm joined by another top producer in the industry here in San Antonio. Mr. Simon Ortiz has been in the real estate business for 6+ years. Before that, he did auto sales for 5 years. He consistently sells $5 to $6 million of real estate every single year with KW Heritage. Please welcome my good friend, Mr. Simon Ortiz.
What's up? What's up? Thanks for having me, Tony. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Love podcasts, so for it being my first one, I'm very excited.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you being here. So today's show is entitled Interview with Simon Ortiz. It's about the journey. So we're going to talk about that. I know that both of us have been on our own journey in real estate, and then I'm sure you had a hell of a journey in car sales. So I look forward to hearing some of those stories. Well, cool. A little bit about how we met. We come from different brokerages, different backgrounds, all that. But we were attending a group training with Shane Tokheim, who's one of our mentors and coaches.
Shout out Shane.
Yeah, huge impact, right?
Absolutely.
When did you meet Shane?
Man, I think I met Shane about 2 years in the business. Invited me to lunch. And I met him through John Thodden, which is a great friend of mine. Yeah. We were actually golfing and whatnot, and then he linked us together, and we've been all good friends ever since.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it happened. I attended a training with Alan Grulick, and that's where I met Shane, and then he kept pestering me about going to lunch, and I was like, fine, I'll go to lunch. Of course, I met him at gym. So did you go to lunch at Papados? Is that where y'all met?
I think it was Papados,
Okay. Yeah, I think we met we did Saltgrass.
Maybe it was Jim's. Because I know that was his favorite spot forever.
It's only like 3 or 4 places. Yeah. So those are the only places he goes. So, but it's hilarious how we've connected, and we're 10 years apart. So you've been in the business longer than I have. You're super young, and I wish I got in the business when you got in. But I love that we've connected through Shane and talked about podcast and books and mindset. Talk to us a little bit about, the podcast that you listen to. You said you're a podcast fan.
Yeah, absolutely. Here we are, huh?
Yeah.
I listen to a few things. I really listen to a lot of audiobooks. One of my favorite podcasts has to be Mr. MF CEO Andy Frisella. I agree with a lot of things he says and the motivation he gives. And that's pretty much daily if I'm not on an audiobook.
Yeah. Well, what audiobook are you listening to right now?
Right now, I went back to the basics. Yeah. I'm a MREA, a millionaire real estate agent.
Yeah.
Just got to get a refresher. But I think we talked about my number one book, or how I got into reading books. And I'd have to say it was the Make Your Bed. First thing you do, make your bed. Okay. Military movie, Navy SEAL, and discipline was key in that one. And it was awesome. So, yeah.
I need to check that one out. I've heard great things about it. I don't know why. So I have my stack of books, and as I finish a book, I add them here.
That's cool.
So it's only books that I've actually read. I have a few others. Millionaire Real Estate Agent is over there, so that's in my queue on the other side.
I'm guessing that's Miracle Morning there?
Miracle Morning is there. No, that's How to Win Friends and Influence People.
No, not that one. I've read that one. But the one right under it?
This yellow one is You Are a Badass.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so Miracle Morning is, I don't think it's in here. It's an audiobook that I listen to, but I love it. It made a huge impact on me. So yeah, a lot of great stuff. So Simon, let's get into it, man. Tell us a little bit about your background. Who is Simon Ortiz? Where are you from? Where'd you go to school? What did you do before real estate?
So my name's Simon. I grew up in the Denver Heights downtown area of San Antonio. Growing up, it was pretty rough back then, I'd say. And now it's like one of the most expensive areas coming up. I went to Brackenbridge High School. Yeah. Didn't quite graduate from there. Okay. I had to go to a charter school, man. I wasn't a very good student. I was more of a networker. I like to have a lot of friends. And that's actually what got me going and probably got me where I'm at. I was a party promoter back in the day. Yeah. I started probably about 15, 16 doing events, parties. Dang. Went into the clubs for a while and got older. And my buddy Scott Maloof was like, what do you want to do? And I'm like, sell cars. Like, my dad fixed cars. I'm going to sell cars and hopefully build a franchise. And yeah, man, I jumped into car sales at 18 years old on Atlas Auto Sales on San Pedro.
Wow.
That's good.
I mean, like that is like such a scary, like a lot of people like are afraid to get into real estate, because it's like it's commission based, it's this and that. I mean, you're your own boss, which can be scary. Right. But auto sales seems even scarier than that. Were you afraid at all? Like, I mean,
I didn't know anything else. I've never had a job.
Yeah.
So if you look back, I don't know what salary or hourly is because I've been commissioned since I was 18.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think I did pretty well. I think my first year in car sales, I was having fun.
Yeah. Well, cool. No, I like that. That's pretty powerful. So you're 18 years old. I mean, what did you know about selling cars? Hopefully somebody was kind of guiding you and teaching you along the way. How did you learn how to sell cars? Did you have any mentors?
I did. I got to give it to SEG, Diego, the first people that I met in the car business. And one thing that stuck with me when I started, and it's crazy to say this, I don't know who's going to judge me about what, but they were like, dude, if you can get a girlfriend, then you can sell a car. And I was like, what do you mean? They're like, make a friend. If you can make a friend, you can sell a car. And it made perfect sense to me. So when I started, we weren't able, everybody says, what's the price? Everybody wants to know the price. That's just the way it is. Yeah. And when I started, we weren't allowed to give prices. So my thing was I had to make a friend to test drive this vehicle. Once they test drove it, build value in the car, bring them inside, go over numbers, and hopefully work up a deal.
I like that. That's pretty cool. And it makes me think about real estate, right? I mean, we talked about this last week on our training, is our job is not to sell a house. Our job is not to, help somebody buy a house. I mean, it's a byproduct. But our number one job is to meet new people and gain
Correct.
Friends and build our database. And those people know people. So it really goes back
Absolutely.
to that.
I think it always comes down to network makes your net worth. The more people that you can be of value to, the better off you're going to be.
This guy knows all of the phrases. So there's number one right there.
That's what
ABC will be coming up later.
ABC, always be closing.
So your network.
I live off that.
Network equals your net worth.
Network makes your net worth.
All right. I love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I need to put that up here on a sign here.
I live by it.
Cool, man. So what would you say is one of the biggest things that you learned in car sales that you still carry to this day?
Man, I don't know if I learned it in car sales. I think I kind of learned it more in real estate, but it came from car sales. So I got to say that it was being a go-giver. Growing up, you grow up as a hustler, right? You got to be a hustler. You got to be a go-getter. You got to go get. And that was what I really did in car sales. I mean, I wouldn't go get. I was a hustler. I took as many ups as possible, made as many calls as possible, go get. How many cars can I sell? And when I transitioned to real estate, I learned that it's not about being a go-getter. It's about being a go-giver and coming from contribution and being genuine, like actually building true relationships with people to be of value to. And that just really changed my life. And here we are. How many people can you help? The more people you help, the better off you're going to be. I think, who is it? I can't believe I forgot that quote. It's,
I'll
come back to it.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, The Go-Giver is another great book that we were talking about before
Definitely.
we did the recording. But yeah, just coming from a place of contribution makes a huge impact. And it's definitely made an impact on all of us.
If I can help you get what you want, I'll get what I want. There it is.
Yeah,
I knew I'd come back to it.
Yeah, that's a good one. So we talked a little bit about this before the show. What was the turning point for you to go from car sales into real estate? You were like, what kind of
That's a
triggered
great
you?
question. So my goal was to own a dealership. Or be a GM at a dealership, really, finance manager, a GM. And I remember one year, it was New Year's Eve, and one of my good friends and GMs was at the desk. And this gentleman has been selling cars his whole life. He's at the top of the chain. And, that's somebody that I admired. And it's New Year's Eve. It's about 7:00. I'm working a deal, and there's a couple other guys working deals. And we all want to go home, right? Like, we want to go home, enjoy it with our families. And this guy's just sitting there, at the table, just miserable. And I looked at it and I'm like, do I really want to do that my whole life? Like, sit at the desk and desk deals? I really, that definitely changed it for me. But another one was Scott Maloof. He reached out to me, brought me to his office and was like, hey man, you've been selling cars this long. If you put that many hours into real estate,
Yeah.
you do very well.
Yeah.
And when he showed me his GCI, I was like, all right, where do I start? Sabor, here I come.
Yeah, for sure. That's funny because I'm talking to a buddy right now that sells mattresses, and he does really well. He's
I heard
awesome,
about that,
dude, and he does really, really well. I'm go, bro, you worked every Saturday, like 12-hour
Every Saturday.
days, and it's like,
You're there at 9. If you're late, you buy tacos for the whole dealership. 9 o'clock, and you're out at 8.
yeah, man, and
Bell to bell.
that's brutal. I mean, if he did that, I told him, I said, if you hosted an open house for 3 hours every Saturday, you would have a killer business.
Absolutely.
In real estate, and you'd be home for breakfast, lunch, and dinner with your family. You know,
Yeah.
it's like a no-brainer. But I know he's going to make the switch eventually. But he's a great guy, and I wish him well.
Bring them over.
Yeah, for
There's
sure,
enough for
man.
all of us.
Absolutely, dude. So talk to us about, you got into real estate. Talk to us about that first year. Was it, did you kill it? Were there bumps in the road? What, was it a struggle? Did you
man.
doubt yourself?
I never doubted myself because I didn't have a choice. I was all in. I mean, I didn't know what else I was going to do, and if I failed, I was going to go back to car sales. So that wasn't an option for me.
Sure.
My first year was very confusing. I didn't understand anything. To be honest, I didn't even know that you were either going to represent the buyer or the seller. I thought you just find a house and sell it to somebody. I didn't know you had the MLS to bring buyers, and or vice versa. So I was very confused, very lost. Didn't know really where to run to for help or whatnot. But just pound the stone, man. Like really, just make the phone calls, pick up the phone and start dialing, and see who we can be of value to. And I was actually I was door knocking in my old high school area, and there was a restaurant at the corner that we used to skip school at.
Yeah.
And the lady that owned it was like she became my good friend. I went to school with her daughter. So when the cops would come looking for students, I would hide behind the desk or her thing, you know, or go to the restroom, and she let me.
Right.
And so I was like, my buddy, I was like, hey man, there's a good little taco spot here. We're door knocking. We're sweaty. Let's go stop in. And she was like, hey, mijo, how are you? You know, gave me the welcoming hug and good
Sure.
and whatnot. And I told her what I was doing. And she's like, I got a house down the street I want to sell. And that was my turning point. That was my first listing.
That's
my first
badass.
deal.
Yeah,
it went under contract in 2 days, multiple offers. And yeah, it was pretty awesome.
And you were like, this is easy.
I was like, I can do this. I can definitely do this.
Yeah, for sure. So we talked a little bit about this. You know, the show is titled, you know, about this journey.
Correct.
And you talked about this phrase. It's not about where you are. It's about where you're going.
Absolutely.
You know, we've been very blessed with, you know, building a business that we love and things are going well. But there's also, we shoot for beyond this, you know, and strive for that. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Hopefully we land on the moon. So for me, when I was taking these courses and these classes, I always was like, I heard it wasn't where you are, it's about where you're going. You know, you got to take the first step. Like now I look back at it, and I was sitting at training, you know, wondering where my next deal was coming from, or where if I'm gonna make it in this industry. And I remember, you know, hearing top agents talk and give value to the younger agents and whatnot. So I always told myself, like, one day when I get there, I would love to do the same. So it wasn't about where I was at. Yes, my first year, I think in about 8 months, and I think I only did like $800,000 in volume.
Yeah.
My first full year, I did about $3 million in sales, and that's when I understood the process, the lead gen, and I understood the job, which was lead generation. It wasn't about, you know, the market or the homes or whatever, you know, real estate. It
Knowing
was
the
just,
neighborhood.
Exactly.
It's like you got to.
Where can I get a customer from? Where can I be of value to? Who can I help and guide in the right direction on their journey home?
Sure.
And that's where that helped me stay engaged and committed and consistent in real estate to get me steady and going.
Yeah, that reminds me of a conversation I had with an agent right before you got here. She's trying to do a seminar, first-time homebuyer seminar, all right? And she's trying to find renters because she was a renter, then bought a house, and she wants to help people do that.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. And I said, well, the number one way to find people that are renting is to call the people in your phone and ask them who they
Absolutely.
know. Who do you know that's
Your
currently
sphere.
renting, you
Your
know?
sphere.
And it's like, and what you just said just kind of reminded me of that. And she was like, oh my God, thank you so much. That was so impactful. You know, I was like, and then of course I remind myself like, well, I should be doing the same shit. You know? I should probably be doing the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, so after this, you know, I'm going to be working my database and seeing, you know, how I can follow
got that
up.
same advice. I just, when I saw what the rentals do,
Yeah.
and it still takes the same hard work, why not find that buyer? Why not find that listing?
Right.
So I never really, so what you focus on expands.
Yeah.
And I wanted to focus on listings because leads, listings, leverage. So I focused on listings, and you know, buyers come with listings. So that's how, you know, I got going. And I didn't want to focus on rentals because I knew that I'm going to get nothing but rentals.
Sure.
So I just stuck to how many buyers and sellers I can help. Really sellers. That's really where I focus on.
Yeah, for sure. What would you say your balance is? 50-50, more
Yeah.
listings? Probably 50-50.
Maybe 40-60. I think I do about 40% listings, maybe 60% buyers, just because, I mean, buyers come a lot.
I'll never forget this phrase by Dayton Schrader. I was listening to one of his trainings that he was doing. And he says, all these young agents come to me and he goes, Dayton, where can I get more listings? Where can I get more listings? And of course, everybody wants listings, right? And he goes, you know how to get more listings? Go sell houses for 10 years.
There you go.
You'll have plenty of listings.
I you know, I'm not 10 years in, you know,
right.
but
Yeah.
it's definitely a sphere of influence. I
Yeah.
mean, my whole business is based off database and sphere and building advocates, man. So an advocate is actually somebody that supports you, loves you, believes in you, and trusts you. Most importantly, trust. And that's my main priority is, you know, being of value to a client to where I can exceed their expectations, deliver my promise, and build an advocate. And that's really where my business comes from.
Well, you're crushing it because every time I turn on Facebook, I see like you posting a closing, a listing, and it's like I can tell it's your friends and family, and it's the people that you know. You know, it's not just like random people that you met off the online.
It's just way easier when somebody already knows you, likes you, and trusts you, and or is referred to you by somebody highly trusted and loved, and that's really how my business runs, man. I'm blessed, very blessed.
So you work a lot with your sphere. I know you're pretty present on social media.
Yeah, social media. I just saw it earlier. I've been on Facebook since 2010.
Okay.
Prior to that, I was on MySpace.
MySpace.
With my top 8.
Do you remember your top 8?
Man, I know my sister and my best friend were out there. I couldn't tell you all of them, though.
All right. But are there other things in your business that you do consistently? I mean, you do social media stuff. You stay in contact one way or another with your sphere. Do you do any mailers? Do you pay for any leads? Do you do anything else? Do you do open houses or what?
There's a system where expireds and physicals are collected. And when I started in real estate, I didn't know what to do. There's nothing to do. You know what I mean? Like, what do you do? Where do you go?
Yeah.
So I felt like if I wasn't making my cold calls or my calls and calling these people and seeing if we can be of value to them because another agent wasn't, that's what I was doing. I was just picking up the phone and start dialing. There's this one quote on Wolf of Wall Street that says, pick up the phone and start dialing. I want you to deal with your problems by becoming rich. And I had a lot of problems, man. I had a lot of things I wanted. So, yeah, man, I just try to help as many people as we can every day.
Yeah, no, I love that. This guy, he's really smooth. I mean, I feel like out of the people I know in this industry,
thank you, Tony.
It's just like the way that you talk, and you're a true salesman without feeling like you're selling, you know, and it's a gift.
A lot of people are scared of the word salesman. And for me, I take pride in it because it's just being of value and guiding people in the right direction and to make a decision that they don't know how to make. You know, this client will buy or sell a home once or twice in their lifetime, and I do it every day.
Exactly.
So I can guide somebody from the beginning to the end and be sure that they win all the way around.
Yeah, no, dude, that's great. Is there any other advice that you'd like to give out, about sales, about business, about growing?
Sales is everything. Sales helps the world go around. And like I said, if you can help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want. So as long as you're being of value, you're coming from contribution, you're being genuine and purposeful, There's no reason why we can't all succeed. And you mentioned a message that you wanted to get across, and I think it's to all the younger agents or younger entrepreneurs or younger, not necessarily in age, but in business, just young, right? Like they're just starting. Yeah. Maybe they doubt themselves a little bit. It's not about where you're at. It's about where you're going, and really not having a backup plan. I argued one time with a younger gentleman. He's like, you got to have a plan B. I'm like, if you have a plan B, then you're not so focused on plan A. Yeah. Failure, first attempt in learning. Even if you fail, you get back up and keep grinding. Yeah. But failure wasn't an option for me. So here we are.
Are you like that every single day? Do you wake up like that? Or do you have to like feed your mind these things? Or are you just naturally like that?
I would say I'm pretty naturally like that because even when I'm around my drinking buddies or I'm having a drink, it's just natural to me. It's like if you bring up a conversation about business, like I'm all in. Like I'm going to start preaching pretty much. I've been told that. It's like, why don't you just go preach? And I actually did like 2 trainings after that.
Okay, right.
I wouldn't sound naturally because some days we'd all have those slummy, slower days that you're like, Yeah. But when you look at your goals and you sit back and think about where you want to be at, you definitely kickstart.
I love it. What's your why?
My why? I always try to figure that out early on because when I got into business, I was about 23, if I'm not mistaken. And I thought I had a why, but my why really came after I had my daughter.
Yeah.
I called her my little baby purpose. That's really my why. I want to leave something very, very built for her.
Yeah, for sure. Like leaving a legacy is really impactful, and I think about that with the podcast and stuff like that. And these recordings are going to live on forever and ever.
I like that. So that's very true.
It's like, man,
I'm very honored to be here, man.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, man. You crushed it. I thought this is awesome.
It's fun.
So I really appreciate you being here. Talk to us about how they can get in contact with you if they're looking to buy a house, sell a house. Obviously, I do that as well. But Simon is amazing.
Tony's rocking and rolling.
And how do they get a hold of you?
So I'm big on Facebook. Simon Ortiz III with the 3 I's because there's not a third, right? And then Instagram, My Realtor Simon. Yep. I'm very heavily on social media, and of course my phone number, man. I've had my phone number since I was like in 6th or 7th grade. So that's 210-707-3261. Yeah. And I'm more than happy to be a value or in any way, even if it's not buying real estate, if it's helping motivate or start a business or even ideas to buy a car or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, I've even talked about buying cars, and he's the first guy I call. I'm like, hey, you got a car deal? You got? I
love that, man. I think I have a pretty big network, so when it comes to almost anything, cars, plumbing, electrical, I got a guy.
yeah, absolutely. And obviously this podcast is more geared towards real estate agents or the people in real estate. So, people connect with Simon that don't necessarily connect with me. And that's why we bring on different guests.
Love it.
So reach out to Simon, reach out to myself if you have any questions. I really enjoyed this conversation.
It's great.
I'm sure it won't be the only one. We'll get you back on. And
I would hope so. Yeah, man. I'll be more than happy to be here any day.
Yeah. And I look forward to seeing you in the training tomorrow I'll
be there
and growing.
Absolutely.
Because we got places to go. Right.
Yeah, and dates to be met.
That's right, man. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed the show. If you enjoyed the show, share the show with a friend. That's the most impactful thing. Who would love to hear this message? Leave us a review, give us a rating. That really helps us grow as well. If you're in the real estate business or interested in the real estate business, join our private Facebook group called The Productive Agent. You could also follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. And we thank you for joining us today. Now let's get out there and go produce.
Hey, Tony, you got to charge a fee.
Charge a fee. I like that, right?
Charge the fee, man. Share the show. The fee. Share the show is the fee.
My man, Simon. My man. Yeah. We got to use
fee.
It.
You got to share the show. That's the only fee.
Yeah.
The only fee is to share the show.
Charge anything. So share the show. Damn it. All right.
There you go.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys.